Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to take a look at something incredibly exciting. We are checking out a Chap Mei figure. It's been quite a while since we had a Chap Mei figure here on the channel, and I don't know that I've ever actually had a newer Chap Mei figure on the channel, so that's super exciting is to actually have a new Chap Mei figure. And as you can see, what we are looking at today is a really cool looking Dilophosaurus that honestly I think looks really nice. And we have the Dino Valley logo down here, as that is the brand that they usually release their dinosaurs under. You can also see a pretty cool image over here of a dinosaur chasing a human and a vehicle away, which I also quite like. You also see a sneak peek up here of the kind of action feature or light up feature that we have going on here with the Dilophosaurus. And then if we take a look here at the back, you can also see some more really cool images. Like, I absolutely love this stuff where you see like animation type images of dinosaurs and interacting with people and stuff like that. That is just like the coolest thing. And then down here you can see some other releases as far as vehicles go, and then some other dino releases up here, which we appear to have some sort of a Tyrannosaur, the Dilophosaurus we are currently looking at, and a Carnotaurus, so that is really exciting, being that my favorite dinosaur is Carnotaurus. But let's go ahead, break this Dilophosaurus out of the packaging, and take a look at it. So here is our Dilophosaurus out and roaming the review station all on its own. And again, I think it looks really cool. Obviously a very Jurassic Park inspired look to the Dilophosaurus with this really cool looking frill. I like how it's kind of, I mean, I get that it's probably going to light up when we activate the action feature, but I actually like the fact that it's kind of translucent. That's a really neat look for this. I've never really seen that as far as a Dilophosaurus goes. But the figure looks really fun, and again, I'm so psyched to have a newer Chap Mei figure on the channel, as I've never really owned a newer Chap Mei figure. The only ones that I've really ever had the ability to acquire were like older ones, or, you know, probably like 10 years ago I did buy some for my son back then at Toys R Us, but that was prior to me really collecting dinosaurs a lot, which is really depressing when I think about it, because all of the incredible Chap Mei figures that were at my local Toys R Us that I passed up at the time, I would love to be able to go back and buy some of those. But anyway, again, this Dilophosaurus looks awesome, so let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Dilophosaurus, you can see some absolutely gorgeous scale detail to the head sculpt here of this dinosaur. You can see it's got really nice, very reptilian looking scales all over the face. You can see the nostrils are sculpted out right there, as well as the palate is quite nicely sculpted, and the detail all around the eye. The eye is painted with a yellow and given a nice black pupil, kind of a slit-like pupil. You can also see that the head is primarily a nice greenish coloration, and then we have kind of a reddish crest, sort of a red, and I think that looks really nice as well. You can also see some beautiful detailing within that crest, quite nicely done as far as that goes. Nice careful paintwork that you see here on the face of the dinosaur as well. You don't see any sloppiness as far as that paintwork goes, and I love that we even have that slight hook in the jaw, so it's kind of like an accurate sort of interpretation of a Dilophosaurus, but at the same time, well, maybe not so much accurate now, as the Dilophosaurus continuously seems to be changing now, but at least a little bit more of an updated version of a Dilophosaurus, again with a nice healthy dose of Jurassic Park, having that frill right there. You can also see that the teeth are all sculpted individually, it seems, and they are painted quite nicely with a white coloration, and you can also see the tongue inside the mouth there. Inside the mouth, the only coloration that it seems as though we have, it's hard to see on the upper side, it's a little dark, but the only coloration it seems like we have on the inside of the mouth is just the tongue, and it's a kind of like a reddish coloration, actually a similar color to what we see up here on the crest, but I think a little bit more of a darker red. And you can see, looking straight at the Dilophosaurus, that the frill here looks really cool. I also love that there's kind of like imperfections, like you can see slits and stuff in certain areas where the dinosaur has apparently sustained some wounds within the frill. And the frill again has a yellowish coloration, but it has a really cool kind of a translucent type of a look to it. And then you also have those black splotches all over the place, making sure that it looks super striking. As we move down the course of the neck, actually if we look here at the back of the frill, again if you look at the back of the frill you can kind of see straight through it, so that even though there's not any type of black paint here on the back of the frill, you can still see the black from the front, so it still shows up here. But as you look here at the neck, you can see again the texturing to the skin. That scale detail looks really nice. You have a line of ridges that run along the back of the neck of the dinosaur, some nice creases as you move down the course of the neck as far as that skin texture and everything goes. You can also kind of make note of the throat here in the lower part of the neck of the Dilophosaurus, and you have like a nice bluish coloration that kind of stripes down and leaks down, kind of mixing with the green, which is the primary coloration of the Dilophosaurus. As you reach the body, you can see some more really cool scale detail throughout the figure, as well as some osteoderms picking up here and there throughout our Dilophosaurus. Again, the blue kind of stripes down all over the place. As you lead down here into the arms, you can see the arms do sport some really nice muscle tone, as well as, again, some more of that gorgeous scale detail that we see all over the figure. You also have a really nice hand sculpt here as far as this figure goes. You can see the nails are sculpted out quite nicely as well, but we don't have any actual nail paint. It's just the same coloration as the rest of the figure. But again, it looks really nice overall. You can see like a scoot-like appearance almost down the fingers as well. And then as we move back up here, you can continue to see the ridges running along the back of the Dilophosaurus, and again the blue kind of starts to go, it's like really abundant here, and then as you get back here to the hip region, it kind of stripes down and then tapers off completely to a green tail with no blue at all. You can see more of those osteoderms coming back here behind the hip region. As you get down here into the leg, you can definitely see some really nicely defined musculature in both the thigh and calf region of the Dilophosaurus. You can also pick up on the kneecap and some nice creasing here in the joint of the knee. And then as we lead down into the foot sculpt actually looks really quite nice with some scoots down the toes. And again, no nail paint, unfortunately, but you can see some nice detail within the nails of the toes. They actually have like kind of like some cracks and crevices within the nails. You can see there's also a toe back here, which is quite different than what you normally see, but the Dino Valley figures aren't really obviously meant to be super accurate dinosaurs. They're just kind of really cool, sort of exaggerated dinosaurs, being that they're, still living with man. It's obviously not going to be your most accurate interpretation of dinosaurs, but you can also see there is a dew claw present as well, which is quite nice to take note of. And then as we lead out the length of the tail's actually pretty short, but it has a really super sharp curve leading back up toward the body, but the tail definitely is obviously really quite short, which is something that kind of is almost a trademark, I would say, of the Chap Mei line. Is if you can recall some older figures like the Suchomimus and stuff, they usually have kind of those smaller tails, so it's something that is a very familiar feel as far as the Chap Mei line goes. Once we turn to this side, again, the figure looks great here in the head sculpt. You can see the eyes are, again, really nicely painted. The mouth is nice and carefully painted. Everything as far as the paintwork looks to be really well done overall as far as the application goes. You also have like some kind of hanging skin and like some ridges here to the underside of the lower jaw as well. And you can see the detailing up here looks really quite nice also. And then once we come back here into the body, unfortunately, we do have some screw holes. But again, if you are familiar with the Chap Mei line, that is also something that's kind of been, with the Chap Mei line since the beginning. So it's not like any type of a shocking aspect of the figure. But you can see the detailing here in the neck region also looks really nice. Again, just like we had seen on the previous slide, with a nice mixture of some beautiful scale detail and some nice creasing and wrinkles in the neck. And then as you lead down here into the body a little further, you can see this arm is extended quite a bit further than what we saw on the previous arm. You can definitely see, again, some nice muscle tone and everything included on this side. Again, the hand sculpt looks really nice, if you ask me. And the actual detailing of the figure is really vibrant and quite appealing overall. And then as we move back here into the body, you can actually see kind of like a different style of scaling, almost like a crocodilian type scaling to the underside of the Dilophosaurus. You can again see another screw hole, but that's for the battery compartment, which is really nice that they have it here on the underside. Obviously, if you want to have a light up feature on your dinosaur, the underside would be the best place to have a battery compartment. But again, as we continue along, you see that blue striping down and the really nice green, and you can again see the osteoderms and everything throughout the dinosaur, as well as kind of like some skin wrinkles and stuff down here in the lower part of the stomach. And then we have the leg sculpt. Again, this one is stretched back a little further than what we see over here. This one's stepping forward, this one's stretching back. You have some nice muscle tone again displayed in both the thigh and calf. As we move down into the foot, you have that claw and toe back here, which again is a little strange, but like I stated, the Chap Mei dinosaurs are normally not based on accurate designs for dinosaurs, so it's something that we can obviously look past as far as that goes. And the toes and everything up here look really nice with the scoots down the toes. The nails again look really good as far as the sculpting goes. I would have liked to have seen some nail paint, but it's not the end of the world. And this is also kind of one of the smaller Chap Mei dinosaurs, like I'd say maybe one of their mid-range figures, so it's kind of something potentially to be expected as far as not really having nail paint. But as you lead out the length of the tail, again, we have that really strong curve like we had seen on the previous side. And again, really fun looking figure. I have always loved the Chap Mei line, been a huge fan of it for years, and I'm really sad that I passed on so many in the past, but I'm really excited to have another new one here to add to my collection, especially a really cool looking Dilophosaurus like this. As far as a size goes, for our Dilophosaurus, for a length, you are looking at right around the 8-inch range, or about 20 centimeters from the head to the tail. And then for a height, on the head about just a little under 5 inches, or about 12.5 centimeters. And then to the top of the frill, it's roughly around the just a hair under 6 inches, or about the 15 centimeter range. For a size comparison, I decided to go a little old school as far as the size comparison goes and brought in some older Chap Mei figures. So if you are familiar with the Chap Mei line, if it's, the Dino Valley line is something you've been collecting for quite some time, then you may already have some of these figures. So it would give you a good idea of what the size of this newer Dilophosaurus is. You can see it's very similar in size to this. I believe it's a Suchomimus as far as this one goes. So you can see it obviously is very similar in size to this one, quite a bit smaller than I believe that's the Elasmosaurus over here. But again, really nicely sized overall, and it actually looks quite awesome next to the Suchomimus. And then as far as articulation on our Dilophosaurus goes, we do have articulation in the neck and the tail, but that activates the kind of action feature and sound aspect of the figure. But we have articulation in the arms right there, and then articulation in the legs as well, both sides. And then again, the tail, which is going to actually cause the frill to light up. So let's go ahead and display that. Now, I will definitely be the first to say that I would have preferred more of a dinosaur-like noise as opposed to a Godzilla noise, but this is something that is meant to appeal to children, and obviously a Godzilla noise would absolutely appeal to children, so I can understand why they would have used that noise, but personally I would have preferred some sort of a dinosaur-like noise. But I'm actually going to turn the lights off here really quick, or at least turn them down, not turn them off, and then we'll do that again so we can kind of get an idea of how the frill lights up. Which Chap Mei is kind of infamous for having that light up feature with some of their figures, and I have quite a few older Chap Mei like the Carnotaurus and stuff that had like light up eyes and it looked really evil because of it and stuff. So I actually like the idea here with the frill lighting up because it's very different. It's not something I've seen before personally, and again, a pretty cool idea on the part of Chap Mei. So this new Chap Mei Dilophosaurus is a really cool figure. Again, is it an accurate Dilophosaurus? Not by a mile. There's pretty much nothing normally accurate about a Chap Mei figure, but being that they're kind of like dinosaurs mixed with man and stuff like that in the Dino Valley setting, it's not exactly unexpected that the dinosaurs wouldn't be accurate. And I've never purchased a Chap Mei figure in the past expecting it to be an accurate interpretation of that dinosaur. Would I like to see some of that in the future? I absolutely would. I feel like creating more accurate dinosaurs in the line could potentially increase their overall sales and audience as far as who would want to buy them, because a lot of people like really accurate dinosaurs, but I would like to see kind of a mixture. I would like to see accurate and then, these kind of inaccurate, because I really like them. I think they're so fun. I've always been a big fan of how kind of stylized the Chap Mei dinosaur figures are, and this is a really good example of that type of a figure from them. The sculpt is really well done. Honestly, it is beautifully sculpted as far as the detailing aspect goes, which is something that is very reminiscent of pretty much every Chap Mei figure I've ever seen. They always give it a ton of really nice detailing in the figure as far as like the skin texture and stuff. Some of the Chap Mei figures that I've seen as far as like older releases and even newer releases go are probably some of the most detailed dinosaur figures of this type, of this kind of like the plastic toy type. Like they really do a great job as far as the detailing aspect of their figures goes. And I think this Dilophosaurus looks really nice. I actually am a big fan of the way that they've sculpted out the scale detail on this, and all of the actual detailing of the figure is really nice and vibrant throughout the entire figure. So that as well is a huge plus. The coloration as well is pretty fun. Everything on it, in my opinion, looks pretty natural as far as a dinosaur goes. Nice tones of green with some nice kind of flashier tones of blue. Some alternate colorations up in the crest and the frill. I really like the translucency to the frill, and I even enjoy actually the light up feature. I've always liked the light up features of the Chap Mei figures. It's just something that I've always enjoyed, and I think that the frill lighting up on this one was a pretty cool idea. Of course, the tail being too short is a little bit of a downside, but it's nothing that we're not used to as far as the Chap Mei line goes. So I actually kind of feel like the shorter tail almost gives me that old school Chap Mei feel as far as the figure goes, and really allows it to just kind of fit in with the rest of the line from Chap Mei over the years with the Dino Valley line. So I really quite like this Dilophosaurus. Again, the only thing that, as far as the collector standpoint goes, that I'm not a huge fan of would be the Godzilla Noise and the screw holes. But the Godzilla Noise, these figures are meant for children, so it's understandable that they would use such an iconic noise for the figures to really, grasp a child's attention. Personally, as a collector, I would have preferred more of a Dinosaur noise, but I understand why they went with the Godzilla Noise. And the screw holes is something that's just always kind of been a part of the Chap Mei line, but maybe something they could work on in the future. However, again, I still think this figure is absolutely awesome, and something that I definitely recommend if you are a fan of Chap Mei picking up. And if you're just a fan of Dilophosaurus, again, it's a pretty darn cool figure overall and worth picking up. So here in the United States, the only place that I personally know of that commonly sells Chap Mei figures is Big Lots, but I'm going to actually link you to the Chap Mei website so that you can have a list of all the different stores that do in fact sell Chap Mei products, so you can kind of have an easier time locating some more really cool Chap Mei figures. But again, if you happen to encounter this one, definitely pick it up, and otherwise make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.